Here's the second MeToo article. In nationwide protests, McDonald's workers allege culture of sexual harassment has gone unchecked for years. Mauricio Bautista was eating a McChicken sandwich to the sound of jazz music at McDonald's when more than 100 women stormed in with banners, bullhorns, and red and yellow flyers shouting, "Keep your burgers, keep your fries, we don't need your sexist lies." It was a dose of harsh MeToo reality for a multi-billion-dollar corporation whose golden arches have drawn children and families to share a happy meal for decades. On Tuesday, a group of about 150 people said it had enough with the illusion of a family-friendly eatery and wanted the company to react to allegations of widespread and systematic sexual harassment at all its restaurants. The organization Fight for $15, which formed to fight for fair wages in the restaurant industry, organized a nationwide protest after learning about repeated cases of harassment that female employees experienced over several years, organizers said. In May, 10 sexual harassment charges were filed with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Another charge was filed Tuesday after the walkout by an employee in St. Louis, and 17 more were filed in 2016. The group is asking the EEOC to consolidate and investigate all 10 charges filed in May and any additional allegations of sexual harassment that are still pending. Then a lawsuit may follow. At least one Los Angeles woman, Elsie Rodriguez, 36, has filed a civil lawsuit against the fast food giant, alleging a male co-worker sexually harassed her at a McDonald's in South Los Angeles from 2015 to 2017. Wow. It's a long time. "I was stressed and I didn't know what to do. I was scared. I didn't know what he would do if I reported him." Rodriguez said that when she notified supervisors, they didn't take her seriously. The effects of the harassment spilled into her personal life, she said, and she grew absent-minded when she was home with her husband and children. She was silent for a long time enduring the harassment because she didn't want to lose her job, she said. Now, Rodriguez wants McDonald's to be held accountable and implement stricter policies on sexual harassment. The protesters are calling for the restaurant to create an anti-sexual harassment committee, strengthen and enforce the zero-tolerance policy against sexual harassment outlined in its manual, and hold mandatory training for managers and employees that they allege so far has been non-existent. I believe it's been non-existent. McDonald's doesn't usually do that. McDonald's said in a statement Tuesday that it has strong policies, procedures, and training in place aimed at preventing sexual harassment. The company said it was working with sexual harassment prevention experts such as RAIN, short for Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, a nonprofit anti-sexual assault organization, for guidance so that everyone who works at McDonald's does so in a secure environment every day. The EEOC did not confirm the charges because the claims are confidential until they are filed in court. Spokeswoman Nicole St. Germain said employees are required to bring their claims to the EEOC, which notifies and requests corrections by the establishment before a lawsuit is filed. The event Tuesday was framed as a strike and protest by organizers, but employees at the Florence Avenue McDonald continued working through the chants. "Oh, I know where that is." One protester attempted to hand a letter to the restaurant manager. He did not accept it. The protesters wore red and held banners that read "MeToo McDonald's" and "No More Sexual Harassment McDonald's" in Spanish. They also chanted, "Hey, hey, ho, ho, sexual harassment has got to go." One customer grew irritated and yelled at the protesters, shoving away news cameras as she walked out of the restaurant. The group moved outside the building to hold a news conference. Similar scenes unfolded in 10 cities across the country, including San Francisco, Chicago, Kansas City, Missouri, and Miami. In Los Angeles, #MeToo activists and members of Bernie Sanders' brigade, the LA Tenants Union and Union The Vincenzo's participated in the demonstration along with the local union members. McDonald's is one of the largest employers in the country. If you can change the culture at McDonald's, that would help many women who work there and many who work at other places too, said Eve Cervantes, an attorney representing the 10 women who have filed charges with the EEOC. Cervantes said the problem is epidemic, but it has not garnered as much attention as celebrities have with the MeToo movement in Hollywood. A survey by Heart Research Associates found that about 42% of the women in the industry who experience sexual harassment feel forced to accept it because they can't afford to lose their jobs, and that 1 in 5 women who reported were retaliated against. In some cases, they were given fewer work hours or their schedules were changed. Low-wage workers don't often have access to the media and lawyers that celebrities do, Cervantes said. I appreciate that it's difficult for celebrities to come forward, but I would say it's much more difficult for low-wage workers to come forward because they don't have a safety net. Cervantes said fast food workers are especially vulnerable because many of them are teenagers. In one EEOC sexual harassment charge provided by attorneys, an unnamed woman described a male coworker asking her what sexual position she liked, spanking her multiple times in the store's walk-in refrigerator, and forcibly grabbing her by the wrist. When she complained to one manager that a coworker spanked her, she just said, "Okay," as if it were no big deal, according to the document. The woman also said she didn't receive any training regarding sexual harassment and was not aware of any sexual harassment policies at her workplace. The Time's Up Legal Defense Fund is financially supporting lawsuits filed by McDonald's employees, Cervantes said. The Fight for $15 has established a hotline for fast food workers who experience sexual harassment to get free and confidential legal support. That is also from the LA Times. So, especially during an election year, I figured it would peak. I would say peak right after 2 years. So it's been about a year. So we still have about a year to go. It's going to be interesting how this is going to play out, because now it's filtering down to the lower levels. It started at the top, and now it's filtering down. And I'm wondering how they're going to work this out. Are they going to hire less men? They're going to make sure that men and women stay separate? Are they going to have an anti-fraternization policy on the job? Or men are going to be afraid to work with women? Now, on the higher paid jobs, it's easier to separate men and women. On the lower paid jobs, it's a lot harder. So these are two examples with the church and McDonald's about how MeToo is going to play out. You kind of figured that after Ariana Grande that things were actually going to accelerate and people were actually going to get behind protests, because now they have the mind share and attention, because the MeToo movement had kind of petered out and kind of fizzled. But I think the Ariana Grande thing, which I think that it was actually perpetrated by a lot of MeToo activists, and it's going to actually spark other stuff up. So now it's going to get its attention again. And you always see it right around the holiday time, don't you? Because the last time MeToo actually started was right around holiday time and coming into an election year. But we'll see how far it goes, or how deep the rabbit hole goes. Anyway, that's my second article. Short and sweet. This is BGS out, and I will see you guys on the next one.